trade is China with massive tariffs on us and us with no tariffs on them. Let me tell you what a real tariff is. It's Obama saying you can build a coal power plant or have one, but we're going to shut you down. We're going to bankrupt you. Trump comes in and says, we're going to slash regulations 75%. I've talked to all the major business leaders, and they want tax cuts, and they're going to get those, and the middle class is going to get those, and the poorest Americans just won't have any more taxes. But he said everyone, almost 100% say we want the regulations out of it. Absolutely. Where I live in Austin, Texas, it's almost as bad as San Francisco with regulations. That's just the city. I have family that the city for 6 months won't give them the occupancy letter to be able to move into the house they rebuilt. Obama went from coal's top cheerleader to its #1 enemy. That's right. That's all part of his deception, his manipulation. Cutting off our power. People go, well, I don't own any coal stock. It was over half our energy just 8 years ago. It's 25% of it now because it's expensive or it's not available. You wonder why there's not jobs. Energy is the oxygen of the economy, period. If you don't have a tank of oxygen, whether you're a foot under the water and can't get up to the surface or 100 feet, you will die in 4 minutes. If you don't have readily available cheap energy, you're done in an industrialized world. They were turning off the lights for everyone but themselves in a consolidation, a greedy, horrible consolidation. And as Trump said, it's not reasonable. And it's reasonable for us to have a demand of a real economy. And it's easy. They admit in the white papers that they're trying to tie down the economy. But out of everything I'm going to cover today, and there is so much, the biggest news was near the end of his 22-minute speech on Friday. And I was there like 70 yards below as he gave that speech. It was so historical. And it was so on target. I knew it was true. I knew he was true blue. I just could not believe the total reversal and the fact that I ever doubted Trump. My gut, my spirit didn't, but now it was just pouring through my flesh that this is a treasure. And no wonder every evil enemy hates him, just as they hate me. And just as they hate you, you bitter clingers in flyover country. Ashley Beckford, a great reporter and researcher and video editor. That's how we first hired her, but then she's great at reporting. She also has courage, and that's really what you need. She went down to the Women's March. You know, they just say they speak for women. George Soros does. They admit he funded almost every organization that brought the people out. An exercise of database control. They put their people on the street. And they called her an Uncle Tom, just as they did months ago, even before Trump had won. It's just crazy. They're the nastiest, most hateful people ever. I was called a white male at least 300 times by white women or little weird beta scrawny guys screaming at me, I hate you, you effing white male. You're the cause of all the problems. I mean, that is the 180-degree difference from what Martin Luther King said. That you judge people by what they do, what they stand for, and what they produce, and the character. This is the most racist, hateful. They're so cartoonish. And I don't say they were ugly and skinny and zit covered. I felt bad for them. I mean, if there'd been like 30% of them like that, I didn't see one male that looked as strong as I did. I didn't see any of them that looked as half as manly as I did. And then I looked around with like the war hero security I've got and Navy SEALs, and I'm going to leave it at that. And they looked like twice as tough as I am. And then I look at them, these people are like, I could have taken on 50 of these guys. I mean, easily. Easily. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, I know. I mean, I've gotten in brawls where you beat down one guy and two more get on you. I mean, the point is, I mean, maybe 100. They were so weak and so shriveled and so dead-looking, it was like a science fiction movie, like some interdimensional spider had sucked their soul out. Man, I'm scared. I've never been scared. We're going to skip this break until now. And I was scared for them because it's like they're demon-possessed folks. It's like we're in a sci-fi movie. And the women were like these bloated, hateful, and the faces they would make were so demonic. They go, yeah, white man, yeah. I mean, I call them goblins because they are. We've got the videos. A lot of you watched them live. We're going to get the clips and slow them down, and then they, yeah. I mean, I know the media will take those pictures and show those, but I don't care. That's what they do. They deceive. They say, he took the Martin Luther King bust out. Then they show the crowd at 8:30 when the police hadn't even opened up the barricades to let anybody in yet. And they go, look, nobody showed up for his crowd. Trump comes out, counters them, shows he had the biggest crowd ever. And they come out on the news and say, well, CNN says, well, we know Hitler had big crowds. And he went to the CIA memorial in Langley at the CIA to speak. And it was just incredible. Now, if you're a TV viewer, most of you have already seen this, but radio listeners, I'll describe it. They showed it. They were smart. They didn't show it when it was totally shut and all the checkpoints were shut so you couldn't get in down Pennsylvania Avenue. They waited till they just opened it. And I mean, because this happened like 5 minutes after they'd opened it, so that there were still some crowds that looked like little circles. But of course, then it completely filled up, even though there were Black Lives Matter and all these Soros groups beating people up at the entrances, and the police were letting them do it. But just think of how evil the media is, that they ran this deception, and they had people in the airports, to me and to my crew who flew on another flight, saying, you're losers, ha, we saw the photos, no one showed up for your rally. And they're still running this. CNN last night was still saying Trump didn't have a big crowd, even though the Metro and all the evidence shows the biggest crowd ever. But I mean, and then when Trump defends it and shows the truth, they say, oh, he's arrogant and is always defending himself. Yes, this is a process of exposing what servile liars you are. But he goes to CNN, Freudian slip, same group, CIA, and people are sick of the tyranny. They're sick of the evil. Standing ovations. And then they cut back to CNN, and the host is like, look at him in that hallowed ground. Who does he think he is even being there at that memorial area when these CIA people don't like him? And it was the total opposite of him just getting standing ovations. And they cut to, how dare the president of the United States visit the CIA? Who the hell does he think he is? I'm telling you, the propaganda is so dumb, and none of it makes any sense. But see, they've green-lighted the media, do whatever you want, be as nasty as you want, and they're for a spirit of keeping us poor and dominating and being bullies, so they've been hired because they go along with that, and so it kind of accelerates the recruitment of more scum, and they're led by a bunch of pedophiles at the top. We all know that, and so this is what evil looks like. So I can tell you, there is a great spirit of wickedness that was in these people, and after they lost, they really showed their fangs and who they are, and they are now running around bullying and screaming and getting in everybody's face everywhere. And that's why it's important for all of us not to go back to sleep, but to redouble our efforts. I told my crew when Trump won, I said, I want you to bring back in the guy that builds the ESPN studios, the Fox News studios, you name it, in this warehouse here that we just cleared out. I want a giant war room. We're going to call it the war room. And I'm going to do daily briefings in there. And I'm going to start a whole nother show every day. I'm going to work more now. And I'm going to try to recruit even more reporters and people. And we're going to live time with like screens, analyze lies as they're happening. And fact check as they're happening. And I said we're going to call it the war room. Now that was internally. David Brock, the main Democratic ground level strategist for the Soros operation, has announced that they are moving to impeach Trump. They're setting up a new operations center called the War Room to wage war against Trump and to move for the impeachment of Trump. It begins, David Brock, far left donors plan Trump impeachment. And you can see now they were arrogant, believing their own propaganda that was meant for the weak-minded public to just stand down or believe it when Hillary stole it, believe that it was real. Now that they figure out how bad they got beat, they are charging back with at least, now listen to me carefully, 10 times the energy. They couldn't get hardly any of their people out on the streets before because they were so arrogant, believing they were invincible. They said 500,000 women hit the streets. Usually the media lies. It was over 1 million. The Trump crowd's estimated about 1.8 million. It was over 1 million women. Now, nobody was trying to block them going into Pennsylvania Avenue. Nobody was trying to stop them. Nobody was beating them up like they were doing to us. But, and they were just so stupid. Most of them, we tried to talk to them, could hardly talk. They were either really young and really stupid, or they were just hateful old women with men in tow that would all walk behind them and take their orders. So it's a total inversion of reality and just the caricature of what they claimed that men were doing, oppressing women. They are now going to do it to quote men. But then there's a twist to all that. There was a globalist double-cross plan to carry out 9/11 with Saudi Arabia to then take over the Middle East, take out Islam's non-radical enemies, then open up Europe and the United States, bring in the jihad, and make us conform to them. But that plan is basically leaked. It's been exposed. But that's why I said on the live stream Saturday, in the middle of them screaming and cussing at me, because there were so many Islamic men and so many Islamic women wearing hijabs and holding up signs of women in a red, white, and blue hijab, I said, I bet this is going to be Islamic funded as one of the biggest groups. Turns out the biggest group there, funded by Soros, is a Sharia law group saying women need the freedom of being under Sharia law. I got home and they had the woman on CNN saying, we're going to bring Sharia and freedom to women. They're flipping the script. They're going from denying all this to openly activating. I mean, who could make that up? And we would say to women, you know, the Islamists that Hillary and Kerry and Obama turned loose have enslaved hundreds of thousands of women, killed hundreds of thousands, sex slavery. They'd go, no, that's not, that's Trump. There's an interview with Millie, does one, and she brings it up to them. She goes, well, Hillary is the main, you know, 1/5 of her money came from Saudi Arabia. That's admitted. And they go, no, that's not true. Trump got way more. He's way richer. They just have no connection, no understanding. I mean, it is crazy. Women's March organizer recently met ex-Hamas operatives, has family ties to terror group. Yeah, and pushes Sharia law for women. And then they bring her and others on CNN. You cannot make this stuff up. You cannot make this stuff up. Now, here's how Trump's going to beat them. And they know this, and it's why they're so scared. The United States is going to end up dominating the planet out of this, but not out of military force and not out of coercion, not out of dirty trick squads, but off of turning on the engine of liberty and deploying the incredibly advanced technologies that DARPA and our top scientists and others have developed and that have also been stolen from everybody else, that were meant to be farmed out to select global corporations to destroy the nation state. Trump is planning on distributing these technologies fairly to everyone, but having the United States have the key dominant role because we built it all. The UK, Germany, and the US, if you want to get down to it, like 90% of it, everything, okay? And in France and others were involved, but just if you got the main engine of innovation, and the Japanese and Chinese have done a lot too, but nobody can deny the internet, all of it, atomic weapons, it just goes on and on. We're the leaders. And instead of this all being shelved as disruptive technology, Trump is preparing to roll it out. Now, they're desperate because they're going to kill tyranny with prosperity. And ladies and gentlemen, you can't say it's the cure for cancer because some of these are so fast-moving and so deadly, and some people's physiology, you know, don't take to some of the treatments that have been suppressed. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, they have serious treatments that will pretty much, as we know it, make cancer be seen as something like polio that's completely eradicated in the West. And Trump knows they're putting it in the vaccine. He knows instead of curing it, they're giving it to people. That's been declassified. Trump knows everything. I told you he'd come out against the vaccines. Not that that science isn't okay. It has some side effects. They're Trojan horsing it.